happened last year when we had 7 finalists vying for the grand prize M Grand 7 2021 model worth 11.5 million naira.
For the winner, season 1, Niger Boss Factor,
this year, it is even bigger and better.
My name is Joel Idadile, the winner of Niger Boss Factor Season 1. Those of you that didn't enroll, I'm sorry, you have missed out big time. You scammed yourself. You think they were trying to scam you.
Register for the Niger Boss Factor Season 2 with the sum of 5,500 naira payable to GT Bank account number 0561 094 161. Send payment proof to WhatsApp portal number 0901 625 2525. Go to www.bossfm.ng to complete your registration. Call 0808 237 0000 or 0811 584 1500 for more information. Niger Boss Factor Season 2. Celebrate culture, celebrate life. Terms and conditions apply.
Niger Boss Factor Season 1!
It happened last year when we had 7 finalists vying for the grand prize.
Good evening and welcome to World Now at 4. I am Ainan Lubem. First, let's talk the headlines. On the headlines, APC orders ministers with presidential aspiration to resign. AU mission roped into Farmajo rubble rift over election security. On foreign scene, Myanmar sentences its leader to jail for corruption. Ukrainian Premier League terminated. And now the news in detail. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in 4 new federal permanent secretaries who were recently appointed. The new permanent secretaries are Beatrice Jedi Agba, Kacholom Daju, Mala Shehu Ibrahim, and Mary Ogbe. Findings show that the swearing-in ceremony preceded the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting, and some of those who witnessed the oath-taking were Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Gambari, and the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi Esan. Speaking during their inauguration, Shehu Ibrahim said he will bring his experience to bear as he resumes duty as permanent secretary. In the same vein, Kacholom Daju pledged to abide by her oath and ensure that policies of government are fully adhered to as she carries out her assignment. The president was presiding over a virtual meeting of the Federal Executive Council, which started immediately after the swearing-in ceremony. Just before the meeting entered deliberations, the council observed a minute silence for former Minister Tony Graham Douglas, who recently died at 82. Findings show that Douglas was Minister of Youth, Sport and Culture, Aviation and Culture and Tourism at various times. Chairman and Chief Executive of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa, has written a letter to the chairman of the All Progressive Congress, that is APC, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, requesting that officials of the NDLEA be given access to conduct drugs integrity tests for politicians seeking political offices in the country. The NDLEA boss, who was speaking during the first quarter awards ceremony of the agency in Abuja, explained that the drug test is necessary to ensure that politicians vested with important national offices do not use budgetary allocations to buy cocaine or other hard drugs instead of providing needed services for the masses. Marwa Further said that when it is the turn of the PDP and other political parties to conduct its party primaries, he would also write the national chairman and request that operatives of the NDLEA be brought to conduct tests of integrity on politicians aspiring for higher offices. As part of its last-minute efforts to stave off any possible violation of the Electoral Act, the ruling All Progressives Congress, that is APC, has given a deadline to cabinet ministers and other executive appointees at both the state and federal levels, within which they must resign their appointments if they intend to participate in its forthcoming round of primary elections. The appointees, according to the set of guidelines for the primaries election, will have from now till Saturday to quit their present offices. According to Section 3, Subsection 1 of the APC guidelines for the nomination of candidates for the 2023 general elections, which states that no political appointee at any level shall be a voting delegate or be voted for the purpose of the nomination of candidates. The party has scheduled to hold its special presidential convention from Monday, May 30 to Wednesday, June 1. By implication, the appointees now have until April 30 to leave their offices. The said guidelines will therefore affect both Ministers of Transportation, Chibike Rotimi Amechi, and that of Labour and Productivity, Chris Ngige, who have declared their intentions to run for the top office of the Federation. Also, Section 84, Subsection 12 of the Electoral Act of 2022, as amended, stipulates that political appointees, including ministers, commissioners, and special advisors, must quit their offices to be eligible to participate either as delegates or contestants at the convention of their respective political parties. Still talking news, a federal high court in Abuja has ordered the chairman Code of Conduct Tribunal, that is CCT, Danladi Yakubu Umar, to submit himself a probe in relation to allegations of misconduct and assault being investigated by the Senate. Justice Imyang Eko, in a judgment on Tuesday, dismissed the suit which Umar filed with the aim of stopping the investigation being conducted by the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions on the allegations contained in a petition written against him. The judgment was on a suit filed by Umar with the Senate President, Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, and the Attorney General of the Federation, that is AGF, as defendants. According to the report, Umar was accused in the petition of assaulting Clement Sakwak, a 22-year-old private security guard at Wuse 2, Abuja on March 29, 2021. Justice Eko, in the judgment on Tuesday, held that Umar's case lacked merit and that the plaintiff raised no reasonable ground on which basis the court could exercise its powers to stop the Senate from undertaking its constitutional functions. Justice Eko held that Sections 88 and 89 of the 1999 Constitution, under which the CCT boss sought to be protected by the court, did not confer any protection or refuge on him. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Thank you for staying with us. And now to other parts of Africa. Somali President Mohamed Farmajo and Prime Minister Hussein Herobil have disagreed on which agency should be given the primary role of managing security in the ongoing elections in Mogadishu. In a statement issued, Roble had directed that the AU transition mission in Somalia, that is ATMIS, be directly charged with managing security for members of parliament, following 2 attempts to disrupt the voting earlier in the day. Roble's government accuses the Somali police force chief Abdil Hassan Hijar of having a hand in disrupting elections of the speaker by preventing the swearing-in of a group of 16 members of parliament recently elected from Gedo region, but whom President Farmajo says were voted in illegally. As of Wednesday, Internal Security Minister Abdullahi M. Noor had suspended the police chief, accusing him of having violated the federal constitution, persistently misusing the authority, and today the commissioner attempted to obstruct the parliamentary proceedings by using force to stop the planned sessions while endangering the representatives of the federal parliament. Away from Somali now to Mali, where Malian authorities have accused the French army of spying and subversion when it used a drone to film what France alleged were mercenaries burying bodies near a military base. Mali's government said in a statement that the drone flew illegally over the Gassi base on April 20, the day after French forces handed the site back to Mali. Following this, Mali's military announced an inquiry into the discovery of a mass grave at the Gassi base. The army said it found the grave the day after the images were published and claimed the body's advanced stage of putrefaction ruled out Malian soldiers' responsibility. It subsequently accused French of spying and attempting to discredit the reputation of Malian forces with the drone-filmed video. Bamako said foreign aircraft notably operated by French forces had deliberately violated Malian airspace more than 50 times since the start of the year. We now move to other parts of the world after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back, and now news from other parts of the world. A court in military-ruled Myanmar has found former leader Aung San Suu Kyi guilty of corruption, which is the latest verdict in a series of secret trials. Suu Kyi has been under house arrest since February 2021 when a military coup ousted her elected government. The 76-year-old Nobel laureate has been charged with a raft of criminal offenses, including voter fraud. She denies all of the accusations, and rights groups have condemned the court trials as a sham. The closed-door hearings in the capital, Nay Pyi Taw, have been shut to the public and media, and Suu Kyi's lawyers forbidden from speaking to journalists. On Wednesday, a Junta court found her guilty of taking $600,000, that is 447,000 euros bribe in the form of cash and gold bars from the former head of Yangon, Myanmar's largest city and region. Away from Myanmar now to Russia, where German Finance Minister Christian Lindner says there are no signs that suggest Russia will stop delivering gas to Germany. Germany on Tuesday authorized the supply of dozens of tanks to Ukraine on Tuesday in a policy shift from the government. Russian state gas company Gazprom has halted supplies to Poland and Bulgaria as Germany relies on Russia for about 40% of its gas supplies. Russia has said unfriendly nations must pay for gas in rubles, a demand that has been seen as an attempt to shore up its currency as Western sanctions take effect. In a similar development, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said that Russia's decision to hold gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria is an aggressive move that the EU considers to be a form of blackmail. At a press conference this afternoon, she said that they will ensure that Gazprom's decision has the least possible impact on European consumers. The EU chief also warned European energy providers against complying with Russian demands to pay for their gas in rubles, saying that this would most likely be a breach of EU sanctions. She further said companies without contracts specifying payment in rubles should not give in to the Russian demands, as it would be high risk for them. Up next is business news on World Now at 4. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. And on business, an anti-illicit drug campaign organization under the aegis of Initiative for Better Societal Enlightenment, that is IBSE, has carpeted the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that is NDLEA, over Italy in the alleged seizure of 3 billion naira tramadol. A statement by its executive director, Daniel Uku, stated that the statement from the NDA is replete with fallacies and is another attempt to wrongly accuse Abakari of what he did not know. The statement continuously mentioned Kari's team to give weight to the activity of the NDLEA. The group also said the statement by the federal government law enforcement agency titled NDLEA arrests drug baron behind 3 billion naira tramadol linked to Kari's team was another desperate attempt by the agency to wrongly accuse Abakari of what he did not do. IBSE recalled that the NDLEA spokesperson Femi Babafemi had disclosed in a statement on Monday titled NDLEA arrests drug baron behind 3 billion naira tramadol linked to Abakari's team, and went further to name one Afam Emmanuel Ukatu, who he termed drug baron as the brain behind the huge bust of drugs. However, NDLEA spokesman, the group said it had claimed that the suspect was operating 103 bank accounts, most of which were used to launder money. It further said rather than partner groups in the war against banned substances, the agency is going solo and targeting some individuals in what many are now saying are targeted for strategy for political and national scores to settle. Foreign exchange inflows into the Nigerian economy declined in the fourth quarter of 2021 owing to lower receipts from the Central Bank of Nigeria, that is CBN, and autonomous sources. This represents an indication of a worsening crisis on the forex-strapped economy, and the latest figures from the Central Bank of Nigeria's quarterly report on foreign exchange flows through the economy said the FX inflows fell by 31.7%. It further stated that foreign exchange inflow into the economy fell by 31.7% to $20.62 billion from $30.2 billion in the preceding period, and the development was driven by the 4.5% and 14.4% lower inflow through the CBN and the autonomous sources respectively. A disaggregation showed that proceeds from all related sources declined by 12.2% to $1.63 billion relative to the preceding period. Similarly, receipts from non-oil sources fell to $7.54 billion compared with $14.97 billion in the preceding quarter. Foreign exchange inflow through autonomous sources declined to $11.44 billion relative to $13.37 billion in the preceding period, driven mainly by a reduction in over-the-counter purchases and non-oil export receipts. Foreign exchange outflow through the economy rose by 19.4% to $12.21 billion relative to the level in the preceding quarter, majorly on account of increased foreign exchange intervention and utilization for visible imports. However, autonomous outflow decreased by 27.2% to $1.63 billion due to lower utilization of foreign exchange for invisible exports. And now to Kenya, where the International Monetary Fund, that is IMF, plans to release $244 million to Kenya to finance its budget in the coming weeks after its staff expressed their satisfaction with Nairobi's economic performance in the face of COVID-19. The IMF said they are satisfied with the progress that the Kenyan government is making in its economic reform programs, and the deal now awaits endorsement by the fund's management and board. Kenya will assess $244 bringing the total IMF support in a 38-month financing facility to $1.17 under the Extended Fund Facility, that is EFF, and Extended Credit Facility, ECF. However, upon completion of the Executive Board review, Kenya would have access to special drawing right SDRs of $179.13 million, equivalent to about $244 million, bringing the total IMF's financial support under this arrangement to SDR $865.77 million. According to the IMF mission led by Mary Goodman. Away from that particular story now to Russia, where Russia energy giant Gazprom says it has halted gas exports to Poland and Bulgaria over the country's refusal to pay for supplies in rubles. The firm said services will not be restored until payments are made in the Russian currency. This comes after Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered unfriendly countries to pay for gas in rubles. Poland confirmed supplies had stopped, but Bulgaria said it was still unclear whether supplies had been halted. Countries pay in advance for their gas, but as they have gone to pay for future supplies, Russia has stood firm on its demand made last month that new purchases need to be paid in rubles. The threat in which Putin says existing contracts will be stopped has been seen as an attempt to boost the ruble, which has been hit by Western sanctions. Away from Russia now to China, where shares in the US and Asia have fallen on fears about the impact of lockdowns in China on global economic growth. This happened on Tuesday as the technology-heavy Nasdaq Composite Index closed at its lowest level since late 2020. At the same time, news that Russia will cut gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria have also added to the negative sentiment, as investors were already worried about the prospect for aggressive interest rate hikes in the US and around the world to combat rising global inflation and the war in Ukraine. Authorities in Beijing are trying to stamp out a COVID-19 outbreak and avoid a repeat of citywide restrictions that have kept Shanghai in lockdown for a month. That has raised concerns about the prospects for growth in the world's second largest economy and the potential knock-on effect globally. However, shares in mainland China rose after losses earlier this week. On Wednesday, the Shanghai Composite added 2.5% and the CSI 300 gained 2.9%. Thilian, lead analyst for technology and telecoms at Economics Intelligence Unit, said after U.S. markets closed, Google's parent company Alphabet said the war in Ukraine hurt YouTube advertising sales, which has helped to send its shares lower in an trade. Still to come is sports.
My name is Joel Idajile, the winner of the Jabos Factor Season 1. I just want to say I'm so excited because, wow, this is a very big thing that has happened to me. And concerning this Season 2 that is coming, I'm just telling you, those that are going to be competing, bring in your A game. This is not something you come casually. Come with your A game, come for it. Like, and Season 2 is up. Those of you that didn't enroll, I'm sorry, you have missed out big time. You scammed yourself. You think they were trying to scam you, but you scammed yourself. Thank you.
So, what's FM 95.5?
Good evening and welcome to Sport News on World Now at 4. I am Richard Badung. Now on to sports. Two-time finalist Falconets may face Germany, France or Australia in the group stage of the 2022 Under-20 Women World Cup bid for Costa Rica from August 10 to 28. The draw for the group stage is scheduled for May 5 at the Teatro Nacional de Costa Rica in San Jose, with a total of 16 teams from 6 confederations set to be drawn into 4 different groups. The top 2 countries in each group qualify for the quarterfinals of the competition. The Falconets have avoided being paired in the same group as current champions, the United States, Spain and Mexico, as all 4 countries have been seeded in Pot 2. Nigeria will be making their 10th appearance at the competition, will represent Africa at the tournament along with Ghana, who will be making their 6th appearance. The Falconets will be hoping to better their 2010 and 2014 performances when they reached the final of the events but lost on both occasions in Germany. Countries in Pot 1 include Costa Rica, Germany, France and Japan, while Pot 3 consists of Ghana, South Korea, New Zealand and Brazil, as Pot 4 contains the Netherlands, Colombia, Australia and Canada. Falconets earned their World Cup ticket after defeating Senegal 4-1 in Benin City, the Edo State capital, to qualify on a 7-1 aggregate match. Away from that story now, Manchester City Football Club of England got the best from the Etihad as they defeated 13 times UEFA Champions League winners Real Madrid. Goals from Kevin De Bruyne, Gabriel Jesus kept the home side ahead in just 11 minutes of the game before Karim Benzema reduced the deficit heading into halftime. In the second half, the citizens got a third goal from Phil Foden to extend their lead before Real Madrid winger Vinicius Jr. pulled a solo run, beating Fernandinho to make it 3-2. City forward Phil Foden spoke to reporters after the thrilling encounter, saying it was a game filled with so much goals and drama. The game, which was a 7-goal thriller, also had Bernardo Silva, who was later named man of the match on the score sheet with the 4th goal before Karim Benzema scored from the spot kick to make it 4-3. Both teams had a good day in office, but Real Madrid will have to score at least 2 goals at the Santiago Bernabeu to keep their chase for the 14th UEFA Champions League running. Karim Benzema, the French international, sets up what should be a special night at the Santiago Bernabeu on May 4 by scoring twice to take his tally for the season to 41 goals in as many games. Reacting City boss Pep Guardiola expressed satisfaction with the team's performance. Away from England now, where we see New Zealand's women's side have brought in Alan Bunting, who led the country's 7th team to Olympic gold in Tokyo as manager of culture and leadership. Bunting's appointment follows the resignation of head coach Glenn Moore after an investigation into players' claims of cultural insensitivity. Former All Blacks assistant Wayne Smith is part of a new coaching setup for the team's World Cup defense this year. Bunsen said improving the team's culture would benefit performances. New Zealand suffered a miserable autumn tour of the Northern Hemisphere, suffering back-to-back heavy defeats by England, followed by a pair of losses to France. New Zealand will attempt to show improvement in tests against Australia, Canada and the United States in June. The World Cup begins in New Zealand come October later this year. In addition to these 7 successes, Bunsen led Chiefs Manawa to an inaugural Super Rugby Opiki title in March. Still talking sports, the Ukrainian Premier League season has been terminated because of ongoing conflicts in the country. The championship did not resume after December's 3-month winter break following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Shakhtar Donetsk were top of the league with 47 points after the last round of games, 2 points ahead of Dynamo Kyiv. A statement on the Ukrainian Premier League website stated that the standings as of 24 February 2022 will be the final standings of the season and no winners will be awarded. The statement also confirmed that a working group has been created to discuss the start of next season. Shakhtar Donetsk and Dynamo Kyiv, who hold 29 Ukrainian top-flight titles between them, have recently played friendlies to raise funds to aid people affected by the conflicts. Away from Ukraine down to England, where Liverpool will play twice in the final week of the Premier League season after the rearranged fixtures were announced. Jurgen Klopp's quadruple chasing side will now travel to Southampton on 17 May, 3 days after their FA Cup final against Chelsea. They end the league season against Wolves at Anfield on the 22nd day of May 2022. Title rivals and leaders Manchester City face West Ham at the London Stadium on 15 May before finishing at home to Aston Villa also on the 22nd day of May 2022. City's rearranged fixture from April sees them play Wolves away on March 11, meaning they face 3 league games in 7 days. Liverpool's match against Southampton was rearranged after they secured their place in the FA Cup final at Wembley on May 14. This season's Carabao Cup winners trail City by just 1 point in the Premier League with 5 games remaining. Both sides are still in contention to challenge for the Champions League crown, with the final taking place after the Premier League season ends on May 28. And that's your sport news on World Now at 4. Back to Ayn and Lubem for the rest of the news. I am Richard Badum.
Thank you, Richard Badun. And now to the rest of the news. A Malaysian drug smuggler has been executed in Singapore despite pleas for clemency because he was intellectually impaired. Nagarefan Dramalingam was caught with about 3 tablespoons of heroin and has been on death row since 2010. His case was highly controversial as he was assessed by a medical expert to have an IQ of 69, a level that indicates an intellectual disability. But the government said he clearly understood the nature of his act. In an earlier statement, the government said they had found he did not lose his senses of judgment on the rightness or wrongness of what he was doing. The execution came after a last-ditch appeal by his mother was dismissed on Tuesday. The court said Nagarethram had been given due process in accordance with the law and had exhausted his rights of appeal and almost every other recourse under the law over some 11 years ago. And that's World Now at 4. But before we go, here are the headlines once again. We told you on the headlines that APC orders ministers with presidential aspirations to resign. On the African scene, we told you AU mission roped into Farmajo rubble rift to over election security. On the world stage, Myanmar sentences ex-leader to jail for corruption. Ukrainian Premier League terminated. That's on sport. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hillstv, Instagram at Hillstv, and our YouTube channel, Hillstv. I am Ainan Lubem. Thank you for watching.